Vamana-mahatmyam.
Om Namo Bhagavati Vamanaya.
Maharaj Parikshit wanted to understand how Vamanadev, on the plea of taking 3 paces of land from Bali Maharaj, took everything away from Bali and then arrested him. Once there was a fight between the demons and the demigods, and Bali Maharaj was defeated and actually died in the fight. But by the grace of Shukra Acharya, Bali regained his life. Thus Bali Maharaj engaged himself in the service of Shukra Acharya, his spiritual master. The descendants of Bhrigu, being pleased with Bali, engaged him in the Vishvajit Yajna. And when this yajna was performed, from the fire of the yajna came a chariot, horses, a flag, bow, armor, and 2 quivers of arrows. Bali Maharaj's grandfather, Prahlad Maharaj, gave Bali an eternal garland of flowers, and Shukra Acharya gave Bali a conch shell. After offering obeisances to Prahlad, the Brahmanas, and Shukra Acharya, Bali equipped himself to fight with Indradev, and thus went to Indrapuri along with his soldiers. Blowing his conch shell, Bali attacked the outskirts of Indra's kingdom. When Indra saw Bali's prowess, Indra went to his own spiritual master, Brihaspati, telling him about Bali's strength and inquired about his duty. Brihaspati informed the demigods that because Bali had been endowed with extraordinary power by the Brahmanas, the demigods could not fight with Bali. Their only hope was to gain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, there was no alternative. Under the circumstances, Brihaspati advised the demigods to leave the heavenly planets and keep themselves somewhere invisible. The demigods followed Brihaspati's orders, and Bali Maharaj, along with his associates, gained the entire kingdom of Indra. The descendants of Bhrigu Muni, being very affectionate to their disciple, engaged Bali in performing 100 Ashvamedha Yajnas. And in this way, Bali enjoyed the opulences of the heavenly planets. Since the demigods were not visible in the heavenly kingdom, their mother Aditi, because of separation, was very much aggrieved. One day, after many years, the great sage Kashyapa emerged from a trance of meditation and returned to his ashram. Kashyapa saw that the ashram was no longer beautiful and that Aditi was very morose. Everywhere in the ashram, Kashyapa saw signs of lamentation. The great sage therefore inquired from Aditi about the well-being of the ashram, asking her why she looked so morose. After Aditi informed Kashyapa about the ashram's well-being, Aditi told Kashyapa that she was lamenting the absence of her sons. Aditi then requested Kashyapa to tell her how her sons, the demigods, could return and reoccupy their positions. Aditi wanted all good fortune for her demigod sons. Moved by Aditi's request, Kashyapa first instructed her in the philosophy of self-realization, the difference between matter and spirit, and how to be unaffected by material loss. But when Kashyapa saw that Aditi was not satisfied, even after he had given these instructions, Kashyapa advised her to worship Vasudeva, Janardana, who is the maintainer of all living entities. Kashyapa assured her that only Lord Vasudeva could satisfy her and fulfill all her desires. And when Aditi then expressed her desire to worship Lord Vasudeva, Prajapati Kashyapa told Aditi about a process of worship known as Payo Vrata, which is executed in 12 days, subsisting only on milk. Lord Brahma had instructed Kashyapa how to worship and satisfy Lord Krishna by this process, and thus Kashyapa advised Aditi to observe this vow and its regulative principles. After Aditi performed the Payovrata ceremony for 12 continuous days, the Lord, who was certainly very pleased with Aditi, appeared before her with 4 hands, dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, immediately Aditi got up, and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, Aditi fell to the ground, offering respectful obeisances. Aditi's throat became choked up because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus Aditi remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, Aditi offered prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul of all living entities, was very pleased with Aditi and agreed to become her son, incarnating as a plenary full expansion. The Lord was already pleased by Kashyapa Muni's austerities, and thus the Lord agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. After giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in the service of her husband, who could see by samadhi that the Lord was within him, and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who was also known as Hiranyagarbha, understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus, Kashyapa offered prayers to the Lord. Lord Vamana appeared in this world from the womb of Aditi, completely equipped with conchal, disc, club, and lotus. His bodily hue was blackish, and he was dressed in yellow garments. Lord Vishnu appeared at the auspicious moment on Shravana Dwadashi, when the Abhijit star had arisen. And at that time, throughout the 3 worlds, including the higher planetary system, outer space, and this earth, all the demigods, cows, brahmanas, and even the 6 seasons were happy because of God's appearance. Therefore, this auspicious day is known as Vijaya, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has a Sachid Ananda body, appeared as the son of Kashyapa and Aditi. Both of his parents were very astonished. And after his appearance, the Lord assumed the form of Vamana, a dwarf. And all the great sages expressed their jubilation. And with Kashyapa before them, they performed the birthday ceremony of Lord Vamana. And at the time of Vamana-dev's sacred thread ceremony, he was honored by the sun god, by Brihaspati, by the goddess presiding over the planet Earth, by the deity of the heavenly planets, by his mother, by Lord Brahma, by Kuvera, by the seven rishis and others. Then Vamana visited the sacrificial arena on the northern side of the Narmada River, at the field known as Brigu Kacha, where Brahmanas of the Brigu dynasty were performing yagyas. Wearing a belt made of munja straw, an upper garment of deerskin, and a sacred thread, and carrying in his hands a danda, umbrella, and kamandulu, water pot, Vamana appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Bali. And because of his transcendently effulgent presence, all the priests were diminished in their prowess, and thus they all stood up from their seats, offering prayers to Vamana. It is noteworthy that even Lord Shiva accepts on his head the Ganga water generated from the toe of Vamana. Therefore, after washing the Lord's feet, Bali Maharaj immediately accepted the water from the Lord's feet on his head, and felt that he and his predecessors had certainly become glorified. Then Bali inquired about Vamana's welfare and requested the Lord to ask him for money, jewels, or anything else he might desire. Thinking Vamana to be the son of a Brahmana, Bali Maharaj told him to ask for anything which he might like. Vamana then praised Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha for their heroic activities, and after thus praising the family in which Bali Maharaj had been born, he begged the king for 3 paces of land. Bali Maharaj agreed to give this land in charity, since this was very insignificant. But Shukra Acharya, who could understand that this Vamana was actually Vishnu, the friend of the demigods, he forbade Bali Maharaj to give this land. Shukra Acharya advised Bali to withdraw his promise. Shukra Acharya explained that in subduing others, in joking, in responding to danger, in acting for the welfare of others, and so on, one could refuse to fulfill one's promise, and there would be no fault. And by this philosophy, Shukra Acharya tried to dissuade Bali Maharaj from giving land to Vamana. But after hearing the instructive advice of Shukra Acharya, Bali Maharaj became contemplative. Because it is the duty of the householder to maintain the principles of Dharma, Artha, and Kama, Bali thought it improper to withdraw his promise to this brahmachari. For to lie or fail to honor a promise given to a brahmachari is never proper. Thus, lying is the most sinful activity, and everyone should be afraid of the sinful reactions of lying. It is said, Mother Earth cannot even bear the weight of a sinful liar. The spreading of a kingdom or empire is temporary. If there is no benefit for the general public, such expansion has no value. Previously, all the great kings and emperors expanded their kingdoms with a regard for the welfare of the people in general. Indeed, while engaged in such activities for the benefit of the general public, eminent men sometimes even sacrificed their own lives. And it is said that one who is glorious in activities is always living and never dies. Therefore, fame should be the aim of life, and even if one becomes poverty-stricken for the sake of a good reputation, that is not a loss. Bali Maharaj thus concluded that even if this brahmachari, Vamana-Dev, were actually Lord Vishnu himself, if the Lord accepted his charity and then again arrested him, still Bali would not envy the Lord. Considering all these points, Bali Maharaj finally gave in charity everything he possessed. Immediately, Vamana-Dev extended himself into a universal body. By the mercy of Vamana, Bali Maharaj could see that the Lord is all-pervading and that everything rests in his body. Bali Maharaj could see Vamana-Dev as the Supreme Vishnu, wearing a helmet, yellow garments, the mark of Srivatsa, the Kaustuba jewel, a flower garland, ornaments decorating his entire body. The Lord gradually covered the entire surface of the world, and by extending his body, Vamana covered the entire sky. With his hands, he covered all 10 directions, and with his second footstep, covered the entire upper planetary system. Therefore, there was no vacant place where the Lord could place his third footstep. Now, with his second step, the Supreme Personality of Godhead reached the topmost planet of the universe, Brahmaloka, which he diminished in beauty by the effulgence of his toenails. Thus, Lord Brahma, accompanied by great sages like Marichi and the predominating deities of all the higher planets, offered humble prayers and worship to the Lord. They worshipped Vamana's feet, worshipping him with all kinds of paraphernalia. And Riksharaj Jambavan played his bugle just to vibrate the glories of the Lord. So now, Bali Maharaj, being thus deprived of all his possessions, the demons became very angry. Although Bali warned them not to do anything in retaliation, they still took up their weapons against Lord Vishnu. All of them were defeated, however, by Lord Vishnu's eternal associates, and in accordance with Bali Maharaj's order, they all entered the lower planets of the universe. Understanding Lord Vishnu's purpose, Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, immediately arrested Bali Maharaj with the ropes of Varuna-Dev. When Bali was thus reduced to a helpless position, Lord Vishnu asked him for the third step of land. Because Vamana appreciated Bali's determination and integrity, when Bali Maharaj was unable to fulfill his promise, Lord Vamana ascertained that the place for him would be the planet Sutala, which is even better than the planets of heaven. Bali Maharaj was extremely truthful. Being unable to keep his promise, he was very much afraid, for he knew that one who has deviated from truthfulness becomes insignificant in the eyes of society. An exalted person can suffer the consequences of hellish life, but one is very much afraid of being defamed for deviation from the truth. Bali Maharaj agreed with great pleasure to accept the punishment awarded to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bali Maharaj's dynasty, there were many Asura demons who, because of their enmity toward Lord Vishnu, had achieved a destination more exalted than that of many mystic yogis. Bali specifically remembered the determination of Prahlad in devotional service. Considering all these points, Bali Maharaj decided to give his head in charity as the place for Vishnu's third step. Bali also considered how great personalities give up their family relationships and material possessions just to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, sometimes they even sacrifice their very lives for the satisfaction of the Lord, just to become his personal servant. So accordingly, by following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and devotees, Bali Maharaj perceived himself to be now very successful. After having been arrested by the ropes of Varuna, Bali Maharaj was offering prayers to the Lord, and his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj appeared, describing how the Supreme Lord had delivered Bali by taking away his possessions in such a tricky way. While Prahlad was present, Lord Brahma and Bali's wife Vindhyavali described the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. Since Bali had given everything to the Lord, they prayed for his release. Vamana-dev then described how a non-devotee's possession of wealth is actually a danger, whereas a devotee's opulence is a benediction from the Lord. Then, being pleased with Bali Maharaj, Vamana-dev offered his own disc just to protect Bali, promising to remain with him. The great soul Bali Maharaj in this way experienced the highest gain of life is to attain devotional service under the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet in full surrender. Being fixed in this conclusion, Bali's heart full of ecstatic devotion and his eyes full of tears, Bali offered obeisances to Vamana-dev, and then, along with his associates, entered the planet known as Sutala. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead satisfied the desire of Aditi and reinstalled Lord Indra as King of Heaven. Prahlad Maharaj, being aware of Bali's release, then described the transcendental pastimes of the Lord while in this material world. Prahlad praised Vamana for creating the material world, for being equal to everyone, and for being extremely liberal to his devotees, just like a desire tree. Indeed, Prahlad said that Krishna is so kind not only to his devotees, but also to the demons. In this way, Prahlad described the unlimited causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, with folded hands, Prahlad offered respectful obeisances unto Vamana, and after circumambulating him, Prahlad also entered the planet of Sutala in accordance with Vamana-dev's order. Lord Vamana then ordered Shukra Acharya to describe Bali Maharaj's faults and discrepancies in executing the sacrificial ceremony. Shukracharya replied,
Mantratas tantratas chidrang Desha kalarha vastutaha sarvam karoti nischidram anusankirtanam taba. My dear Lord, there may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless.
And thus, becoming free from fruitive actions by chanting the holy name of God, Shukra Acharya completed Bali Maharaj's sacrificial ceremony. All the great saintly persons then accepted Vamana-dev as the benefactor of Lord Indra, because Vamana had returned Indra to his heavenly planet. They accepted Vamana-dev as the maintainer of all the affairs of the universe, Janardana. And now, being very happy, Indradev, along with his associates, placed Vamana-dev before them and re-entered the heavenly planet in their airplane. Now, having seen the wonderful activities of Lord Vishnu in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj, all the demigods, saintly persons, pittas, bhutas, and siddhas glorified Vamana-dev again and again. And in conclusion, Shukadeva Goswami informed Maharaj Parikshit that the most auspicious function for the conditioned soul is to chant and hear about the glorious activities of Lord Vishnu.
Om Tat Sat. Chalayasi Vikramane Balimad Bhuta Vamana Padanakanira Janita Jana Pavana Keshavadrita Vamana Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Trivikrama Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Urukrama Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Jagadisha Jaya Jagadisha Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
All glories to Lord Keshava, who assumed the form of a dwarf. O Lord of the universe, you take away everything inauspicious for the devotees. O wonderful Vamana-dev, you tricked the great demon Bali Maharaj by your massive steps, and the water that touched the nails of your lotus feet when you pierced through the covering of the universe purifies all living entities in the form of the river Ganga.